Self-protection is a deeply rooted instinct in the human subconscious. When a human being is born, their body carries biological immunities, but they are not initially prepared to defend themselves from aggression. It is the responsibility of parents and other adults to protect the child from external threats. However, children quickly learn to defend themselves, using techniques such as shouting, running away, and hiding as their first forms of defense. As they grow, their self-defense skills evolve, and they learn more elaborate techniques. The importance of self-protection becomes more evident in hostile environments, leading individuals to seek out new ways to defend themselves.
The origin of self-defense, and consequently martial arts, can be traced back to the origin of life itself. All forms of life, from bacteria to complex animals and plants, possess defense mechanisms encoded in their DNA. Self-protection is an innate instruction carried by all organisms as their primary directive. Thus, most biological organisms engage in activities that ensure their survival, including competing with and overcoming other forms of life, in order to maintain their position in the hierarchy of life.
Geographically, the origin of martial arts is not in Europe, and while more recently associated with China, the earliest written records of combat and hand-to-hand fighting systems recognized as a science and art have been found in India. These records date back approximately 5,000 to 6,000 years. During this period, the pharaohs were at their peak, and Egyptian culture was flourishing along the fertile valleys of the Nile.
It was around 5,000 years ago that the arts of combat and self-defense, which eventually gave rise to martial arts, began to be considered as a science, documented, and recorded. The Buddhist monks in India were among the first scientifically organized practitioners of martial arts. They studied various fighting techniques due to the imperative need for self-protection and to defend their monasteries, which housed valuable material and cultural wealth passed down through generations. The existence of wealth in these monasteries made them vulnerable to the greed of outlaws and enemies. Thus, the monks recognized the need for better protection and began training in the science of fighting and combat.
During that era, war predominantly involved hand-to-hand combat, which is where the monks initially focused their training. The principles that laid the foundation for martial arts were developed from this context. In essence, the origin of martial arts aimed to fulfill the most basic human need, survival. As time passed, the styles and nature of martial arts evolved to incorporate the way of life for many individuals, extending beyond mere self-defense to becoming a lifestyle guided by moral principles that have always been associated with martial arts.
Until a century ago, martial arts, combat sports, and self-defense techniques were primarily used for security reasons. However, in recent times, more and more people have turned to martial arts and self-defense for reasons that go beyond the natural instinct for defense. Alongside confidence and self-esteem, individuals seek well-being, health, and the pursuit of perfection in martial arts and combat sports. This pursuit of perfection represents a state of mind in which martial artists overcome physical and mental barriers through the practice of the arts of fighting and combat.